It was supposed to be just another segment on The Late Show, Stephen Colbert, a packed audience, and one of the most polarizing politicians in America, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The booking shocked everyone. Colbert's team teased it all week. A serious conversation with a serious man, the promo said. But nobody expected what came next. DeSantis walked out to polite applause. Not cheers, not boos, just tension. Colbert started soft, talking hurricanes, schools, the economy. But then he leaned forward, looked DeSantis straight in the eye, and asked, "Governor, with all due respect, do you ever worry that history will look back at your policies as dangerous?" The studio froze. DeSantis blinked, smiled, but not the friendly kind. He took a long pause, then replied, "I worry more about history, forgetting weak men in suits who hide behind comedy instead of courage." The audience gasped. Colbert raised his eyebrows. "Is that the line you rehearsed? Or do you just throw shade in real time now?" DeSantis straightened his jacket. "I didn't come here for applause, Stephen. I came here to say what people are too afraid to." Colbert leaned in. "Well, congratulations. You've got the mic. Now try not to use it to erase human rights." The audience roared, half in support, half in shock. DeSantis just stared. And that's when everything started to unravel. The crowd was divided, half cheering, half holding their breath. Ron DeSantis adjusted his mic. His tone sharpened. "Let me be clear. What you call dangerous is just leadership with a backbone. You sit behind a desk and call it bravery. I govern a state." Colbert nodded slowly. "Right, the same state banning books, attacking teachers, and targeting LGBTQ kids for existing. Very brave." The tension snapped. DeSantis fired back. "You're a smug mouthpiece with the laugh track. You don't care about truth, just applause." Colbert smiled, sarcastic. "Coming from a man who turned a state into his own political playground. That's rich." The audience reacted with a mix of gasps and claps. DeSantis leaned closer to the mic. "If being dangerous means protecting children, securing borders, and keeping woke garbage out of classrooms, then I'll wear it like a badge." Colbert sat back. "Dangerous isn't always bold. Sometimes it's just reckless, with a suit and a slogan." DeSantis stood up, yanked off his mic, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "You're not worth the airtime." Then he walked off set, live, uncensored, unapologetic. The screen cut to commercial, and The Late Show had just made history. The camera cut away fast. The studio lights dimmed. The audience sat in stunned silence. No outro, no joke, no music from John Batista's band. Just a single message on screen. "We'll be right back." But backstage, the show was anything but calm. Producers scrambled. Aides were shouting, and DeSantis, still fuming, was halfway out the side exit before anyone could stop him. Meanwhile, Stephen Colbert stayed seated at the desk, stone-faced. He whispered something to the floor manager, then sat back and waited. When the show returned from commercial, the audience held its breath. Colbert leaned into the camera and said with a half smirk, "Well, that was spirited." Governor DeSantis had to leave a bit early. Apparently, facts make some people very uncomfortable. The crowd erupted. Online, the clip was already spreading. One post read, "Colbert destroys DeSantis on live TV." Another, "DeSantis walks off like a baby. This is your tough guy?" But on the other side, the outrage was just as loud. Colbert ambushed him. This was a setup. Total disrespect for a sitting governor. Within an hour, DeSantis storms out and unwasker Colbert's setup, trended side by side. But the story didn't end on air. Because what happened backstage? That part got leaked next. Just 10 hours after the broadcast, a 47-second backstage video surfaced online. The source? A stagehand with a cell phone and a perfectly timed recording. The clip showed Ron DeSantis backstage, pacing fast, coat unbuttoned, voice tight with fury. He knew what he was doing. That wasn't an interview, it was a hit piece. A handler tried to calm him down. "Governor, we agreed to soft policy. No personal attacks." DeSantis cut him off. "He played that dangerous line to bait me. That was preloaded. I'm not some nobody from Congress. I'm a governor." Then someone off camera, possibly a producer, chimed in. He swapped the segment intro 20 minutes before airtime. Didn't run it through approval. That part? That changed everything. Because now the internet had something new to argue about. Did Colbert ambush DeSantis on purpose? Or did DeSantis just crack under pressure? The comment section exploded. "So much for free speech, huh, Colbert? DeSantis wants to ban books but can't handle questions?" The late-night trap is real. Within hours, the clip hit 3.2 million views. Cable news jumped in. Tucker Carlson said, "They rigged the interview, then mocked him for reacting." Meanwhile, CNN called it the moment DeSantis lost the moderate vote. But the most viral post? A screen grab of DeSantis mid-yell, captioned, "Tough until challenged." By the end of the week, it was no longer just a walk-off, it was a political firestorm. The DeSantis campaign went on the offensive, calling the interview a staged ambush by a partisan hack masquerading as a comedian. They demanded an apology. Colbert didn't respond. Instead, the next night, he opened the Late Show with this. "Well, folks, last night I tried to have a respectful conversation, but I forgot some people prefer press conferences with no questions." The crowd roared. DeSantis supporters were livid. Years boycott Colbert trended. But so did number DeSantis meltdown. Clips of the walk-off were remixed into parody ads. TikToks showed DeSantis storming off, with dramatic violin music. Meanwhile, fundraisers on both sides exploded. Colbert's side sold shirts that read, "Dangerous questions ahead." DeSantis's PAC raised $2.3 million in 48 hours with the tagline, "We don't answer to Hollywood." Political analysts were split. One said, this was DeSantis trying to project strength and failing on the biggest possible stage. Another said, he won the base over again. They love a fight, especially one against media elites. But the real damage? It wasn't about Colbert. It wasn't even about the interview. It was about perception. Because now every voter in America had one question in mind. If Ron DeSantis can't handle late night, can he handle the White House? Just when the DeSantis-Colbert fallout seemed to be fading, a new twist exploded online. A whistleblower, claiming to work inside the Late Show's editorial team, posted anonymously on a forum. The segment was altered the night before, and not by Colbert. Attached was a screenshot of a producer's Slack message. "He doesn't know we added the dangerous question. Keep it quiet." Within hours, Reddit sleuths verified the metadata. The timestamp? 5 hours before taping. The implication? DeSantis wasn't given the final script. The reaction? Chaos. Right-wing commentators pounced. This wasn't a meltdown. This was entrapment. Colbert's staff rigged the segment. Even moderate viewers began to ask, did they set him up just to go viral? DeSantis's team released a new statement. We now have proof this interview was manipulated to create outrage. This wasn't journalism. This was political sabotage. Stephen Colbert stayed silent for 24 hours. Then on his next show, he opened with a single line. You can't sabotage someone by asking a question unless the answer was already dangerous. The crowd cheered. The battle lines deepened. And just like that, what started as a fiery interview turned into a national debate about ethics, media, and political theater. But one thing was clear. Whether you were watching for truth or for drama, you couldn't look away.